We already got someone in the house. We've got Sassy Susie in the house who says, great topic. And I see that we have someone else in the house. However, I do not see you. I am still waiting for my guest to arrive. So, um, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Um, I did speak with them earlier. I do know that it was last minute. So I may be doing this live on my own. And that's okay too, because I'm ready for that. So tell me, how are things out there? It is now 5:55. Hello, hello, Miss Susie. Real Freedom Forever in the house. Hailing from Ontario. Listen, was I have you here? A little bit of housekeeping. Seems as you have that wrench uh, during this live, if there is a comment, someone comes into the chat and it's inappropriate or shady, click on their name. And when you click on their name, options will come up that you can either, hide them or make them disappear. Okay? Um, or put them on a chime in. So you will have some options that are available to you. So um, I'm just letting you know that, Miss Susie. It will be appreciated. Things are great here in Ontario. Weather-wise, our weather here in Nova Scotia is very. It's looking more much like a fall day. Um, we're losing a lot of our leaves. A lot of wind, and it is cooler. I have I've had a fire going. Not a big fire, but you definitely need to have a fire to take the chill off because it gets damp, very damp because we've had rain here, and it's supposed to rain. I think as well tomorrow. So off and on. Hello, Blue Yaka. Good evening to you. Nice to have you here. We are just I've been waiting for my guest, and I don't think my guest is going to show. So I'm going to give a few more minutes here because, and we will see. We'll see we'll see what's shaking. Andrea is your name. Andrea. Oh my goodness. Now, when you say Andrea, that is your name, and hi, Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are just chatting up the basic breeze of the day before I get into the topic. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I think it's a good topic. I often uh, have discussions on this channel which are more on a healing basis and actually what we need to hit tripping balls. Andrea! Hey! Andrea! I get it now. No, this is my girl, Andrea. Nice to see you. Nice to see you here. This is good. This is good. However, we usually have healing conversations and what it is that, what, is we need to heal from and often talk about all the massive changes, but we don't necessarily get into what a lot of those changes are. And hence, what really brought tonight's live um, into fruition was I was strolling once again online, and I came across one video which led me into a bunch of videos. Now, normally when I'm out there and I'm searching, I'm looking at what's going on with the climate everywhere. And TikTok and YouTube and just a plethora of information, but I don't necessarily focus in on Canada. And this time, or lately, I have been, and looking at such things is our homeless situation as well as our drug situation, which seems to be going hand in hand, and housing. Housing is a big thing here, and so my whole point being is as went through today, and I was going through, I came across this one video, and its title was just the title that's in my title. Um, is Canada collapsing? And it just that was one video with that name. But if you type that in, you're going to get a bunch of videos that are um, reporting from a different place. Some of it is economically. Are we collapsing? Some of it is with the homeless situation. Are we collapsing that way? And with all these different, as I said, the changes that are going on, when I look at what's happening all over, but when I look in all of our major cities, that is got a housing situation, a homeless situation, a drug situation, you can go in any one of the cities. It kind of makes you think we are in some sort of a collapse. And yet, you can look and you can still see construction going on. Doesn't matter where you look, there's still construction. Buildings. Hello, spirituality and Herb. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And listen, I will say to you, because you have a wrench too, as well. And I know that we were in discussion about how to use that wrench, so I'm going to give you some pointers right now. You have the ability to click on a name, and then there's options that will come up. So if you see a comment that is inappropriate, I think you already know, Sabrina. You click on that, it will give the option to remove the person. That way, I don't have to stop and keep getting interrupted by stupidity. Okay, because I don't want to lose my point. So, going back to my point of why this video came about, in seeing what I saw, we are definitely in the form of some form of collapse. And when I look at all the areas, I just named three. I said there is the housing situation, there is the drug situation, there is the homeless situation. Because when we talk about housing, let's just talk about, because one leads into the other eventually. You've got housing, which is astronomical now. And if you have found yourself in a renting situation, it is more like a crisis situation now, because the option to buy is really, it's not there because of the pricing market. So you're either left with paying the inflated rents, or a lot of folk are finding themselves homeless. And that's here in Canada. And when we think about that, I don't know. I mean, I think about it. One person is one thing, but when you think of a homelessness and when you think about a family, and what does that look like? Because I've been thinking about that too. Because I think that there's different stages to that, and what do I mean by that? A lot of folk, if they do have a car, they will find themselves in the car first. And how long do they do that? Because now winter's here, and if you don't got the car, then you know what, you are left to shelters and with mass problem in many people needing that, that's looking like a whole lot of something. It's certainly it's a small band-aid. It's certainly not a fix. And when you think of when I think of a collapse, and if we are collapsing, we know this is going to get worse. I don't know who just entered the chat, but hello, hello, hello. Anyways, where are we going? Where are we going from here? And in saying that, I would have to say this. What is your reality with everything that's going on? Because we're not we're not all wearing the same reality with everything that's going on here in good old Canada. And I think that that's once again one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, because is Canadians, we love to look away at what it is we don't want to see, and if it is not affecting us. And maybe in some aspects, maybe I also was one of those people, because I literally had to go online in order to see that things were as bad as they were. Like, let's say, just in Toronto, the fact that the homelessness and the drug addiction and the crime rate, and then it's not just Toronto, but you go in each area of Ontario, and it's looking pretty much like the same thing. And I know I'm talking about Ontario, but you know what? You can come down to your rural areas, and we're noticing these effects in our rural areas. These same problems, maybe not on that massive scale as it is, as you would see in the cities, but the same problems existing right here. Where do we go from here? Do we want to see change? Yeah, we all want to see change. I think we've all been manifesting some sort of change. And believe it or not, I'm going to say this. We've all, at some point, said we want something different. We want the change. We want rid of this, or we want rid of that. So I think we've been manifesting some of what we've been getting. And when you think about breakdown, now this is just my personal opinion, we are in need of a breakdown, because sovereignty, and we're supposed to be such a sovereign country, there's nothing going on here that speaks sovereignty. Nothing. Nothing that matches the sovereignty that I have in my mind. So if it means that we've got to break down in order to build something new, I'm up for it. So Susie says, what do we got going on here? Who's your neighbor? Yeah, who's your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? Most of us don't even know our neighbor, right? We choose not to know our neighbor, or know very little. Know very little about our neighbor. And we don't want our neighbor knowing that much about us. And some of that is, I mean, that some of that is, like keeping yourself safe, not being really open, because you really don't know your neighbor. So there is a time to use some discernment, discernment on a great level, because folk are messed up. They call downtown Windsor a fentanyl city. Fentanyl city. Fentanyl city. Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you, everything that we see happening right now in Ontario, we'll say even in Halifax, in all our ears. What we see happening, I saw that all happening during my time period of living in Windsor. I saw it begin. I saw when the different drug hit the street and how its devastating effects were quicker in the massive amount of people affected. I saw that in Windsor. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's because Windsor is a border city. I don't know what it is. But I also saw during that growth period, people look away. The things that people did not want to deal with, they are having no other choice now. It was okay if it was not in your neighborhood. That's what I saw when all of that was happening in Windsor. You had a lot of people that it wasn't happening in their neighborhood at the time because they had the fortitude of not living in the downtown area of where all of this really erupted. So, you know, like most places, if it's not happening in my neighborhood, then it's not affecting me. Which brings me to a point. Let's just talk about the whole drug issue. It didn't just happen. And at some point, it was happening in our neighborhoods. It was happening in our families. And for a good chunk of that, we were in denial. Because before it was fentanyl, let's go back to we're probably one of the friggin' oldest drugs. Let's try alcohol. It started with alcohol. And then something else came along that was stronger than alcohol. And maybe maybe in the little rural areas we were able to escape the big stuff until the big stuff landed. But when it landed and we did start seeing the effects of it, we did too much looking away. Especially when it ended up in our families. Looked away. And we're still continuing to look away. We can look at unhealthy and we can look at sick and not speak to it and act like it's going to go away. And it's not. Not only has it has grown to a point now in our small areas of where it's reaching the next generation. So, something to think about too. The cognitive dissonance that we have carried has caught up with us. So we can no longer afford to look away. So what are some of the areas that you see where we use cognitive dissonance when dealing? I'm going to give you a moment. Think about it and then put it in the chat. What are some of the areas of in which you see that we use cognitive dissonance when dealing or looking at a situation? I'm going to give you a moment and think about that. What are the things that we are looking away from? Because everything that we are experiencing around us, it didn't just happen. We didn't just wake up one day and this is what we got. What did we look away from? Or what should we have been paying more attention to? Employment, big one. Jobs are disappearing. Jobs are disappearing. Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely. You know, that was one of the things that came out in one of the videos that I watched in terms of Canada's collapse. And one of the things that is at risk with massive job loss is in the auto industry. I was unaware that we were making trucks for the United States. Now, why are we making trucks for the United States and we're not making trucks for here? And now with those tariffs, a lot of the businesses are removing their businesses from Canada because it's cheaper to do it somewhere else. So there's a decline. Machines are taking over. Yeah, machines. Which brings me to that. That's another threat that we are under. And what does that look like? Um, Whether it's, we hear a lot of talk about robots doing the work eventually, and there not being a need for actual people. You know, what were we looking away from? What did we just let pass by us, or what? All those things that we thought were convenient that U.S. imports instead of exporting. Yeah, 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 yeah. How much of our merchandise comes from? And why are we not making our stuff here? What blows me away is the fact that most of our wood goes to everywhere but here. So we do all this massive cutting. All of our best wood goes, it's exported somewhere else. Crazy. Crazy. Who would make these deals? And why were we not paying attention? Because, you know, I think at some point we were not paying attention to our civics in terms of our civics in local politics and the decisions that were being made. We were too busy focusing on everything in terms of province. We should have been thinking more on what was going on locally. We do make things here. We give it to other countries. I know, I know, I know. And who makes that deal? And why were we not paying attention? Because some of this, a huge part of this, is about accountability. And Canadians, you know what, being accountable. And ignorance is not an excuse anymore. It never has been. However, I think that ignorance has been used and we've gotten away with it. And that passivity that exists can no longer be passive because one way or another you are affected or you will be affected. And things are happening so rapidly here with no real solutions in sight. I just want to go into talking about Canada, our beautiful Canada. And I want to just talk about the um, harm reduction because let's go back to the drug issue that we have going on here in terms of opiates. Every city, massive, massive problem. We now have laws here that pretty much, I believe, keep the problem going. Harm reduction looks like this. Instead of you going buying fentanyl, we'll give you Percocets. Your doctor will prescribe you Percocets. So you no longer have to go to the street. They take the Percocets and they sell the Percocets so they can get the fentanyl. The Percocets are just as deadly though. Where's your harm reduction? These Percocets are ending up in our schools, young kids. It's just, and this is something that one of the government, your mayor, the mayor of BC, this is what he signed on to. And then there are other cities that have signed on to this, so you wonder why it has gotten as bad as it has. Harm reduction, that's what that looks like. Doesn't seem, even the words harm reduction, they don't even go together. And then you put harm reduction and Percocet in the same breath, harm reduction and needling. Anyways, and then we look at the massive problem hitting our streets, our neighborhoods, and we are messed up. We are messed up. Where were we not paying attention? Where were we not paying attention? And once again, if it didn't affect me, I don't have to look at it. And then all of a sudden, one day, you wake up and you find it is affecting you. And it's not going away, it's growing. So we can look at all these breakdowns, is what I will call them. And as I said, I do believe that they are necessary. Sometimes you got to put all this shit out there. And we do have to lose some things in order to appreciate not only what you have, but maybe in some of the loss, you will figure out how it is that you will not only keep what it is that you have, but you can do it from a place of sovereignty. And that you are not selling yourself up the whole. Because with this breakdown, there has to be a rebuild. And in that rebuild, do we want it to look like anything that we are seeing right now? Do we want the same players? But before we can get to that rebuild, we got to look at the truth. Can't even begin to look at the rebuild because the truth is just being unveiled here. That we're not this, all those that flocked here because life was so much better in Canada are realizing they came underneath an illusion. Because just as much as we have them, those that came, we have them leaving in mass exodus. Realizing that we are really fucked up here. It is really hard to build here. The politics is Willy Wonka. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Need new players in the game. Definitely need new players in the game. Definitely. You could take a friggin' child who could look at what's going on and they probably would be able to tell you exactly what it is we needed to do in order to solve this bullshit. Because they would be coming from a place of clear love and fully objective. Because as kids, they can get caught up into all the bullshit in all the things that prevent us from coming together, finding better solutions. Anyways, pay attention to our children. Pay attention. There is amongst them a new source of light. Trust me. And I say that because when we look at some of these so called adults in leadership, I have to do more than just shake my head. Once again, how did that happen? I look at the last probably 8 to 10 years of leadership. Once again, how'd that happen? How did we how did we get roped in? And then maybe some of us didn't get roped in. Some of us always did see. Because some of us knew that the solution didn't lie inside of our so-called government, which is collapsing. Do we want to build? Because you just can't have no structure. But there's many things we have to sort out. There's another thing that's on the table. Who is organic to the land? And while that topic is on the table, we have a massive immigration issue. What's going on? What's going on, Canada? These are the things I think about. These are the things that are on the table. And how do they link? How is it linking? Because if we were to look, there is a pattern. There is a pattern to a lot of this. And we need to start studying the pattern. And I think that if you know the pattern, we won't be falling for the same okey doke. We won't be falling for the same words. Another thing, we've been dealing with massive fires all over Canada. Weather changes all over Canada. Abnormal weather patterns all over Canada. At the same time, discussion of uranium being mined, and we're being encouraged to look away. That's not what's happening yet. Knowing very well that in March it was legislated that you could mine for uranium. Nobody's looking at that though. They got us busy looking at a whole bunch of other things, focusing on the fires, not thinking about land. So now, okay, once again, organic. Who's organic to the land? That's one of the issues. Who's the real original people? One of the issues. And then we got a land thing going on here about resources. I don't know. What's the pattern? These are some of the things I think about. In the meantime, they've got us focusing on destruction over here, destruction over there, destruction over here. They get you busy being distracted, but when you center up, there's more to this, and there is a pattern to everything. I don't know. I come out tonight and I have this discussion, and I'm going to come back with more because, and there are people. I don't want to discredit those that are talking. I, I'm I'm just coming in and having a conversation about it. Um, I think that we all can do better. I think it's going to be real important for each and every one of us not to get caught up into everything that we see going on and lose our humanness because with everything that I see and with the energy that is being created, it would be very easy to lose your love and your humanness. I think we need it more now than ever. I think that with everything that is coming up against us, I think it's time to find opportunities to link with one another and find ways of in which we can help one another to get through what we are experiencing at this time. I do not believe, nor do I think that this is a time to go uno. I think that it is a time to come together collectively. And when I say that, I mean, I look, find places inside your community, find your people, and remember that everything that you might be seeing through the media and all of that, what is your reality? Because my reality is this: I'm experiencing a beautiful fall evening, quiet. I have lots to eat. I have a roof over my head. I'm dry. That's my reality. And I think we're going to need to keep centering ourselves and not get caught up into the fear of uncertainty and with everything that's being projected towards us. I am not going to stay long with you this evening. I did just want to pop in and it would have been a longer live if my guest had showed up. But, you know, just a start of a conversation, um, things that we need to think about. And if you are indeed one of those people that are looking away, I'm sure the day is coming when you're not going to be able to. So, as much as you may want to, it's not a time to look away. It is a time that I think that, what, as individuals, we take our power back. We do have power. And when you think about energy and the collective energy, and you put that energy toward the greater good, and it's going to create not just a rippling effect, but have it will have an impact, and I think a positive impact. So, without further ado, I thank you for coming out and participating in the live. I thank my wrench gals, yes, Sabrina and Susie, sharing and participating in the discussion. No, not look away, but be aware. Using discernment. That's right. It's definitely a time for discernment. You must use your discernment. which means that you don't get caught up into everything emotionally. Use your discernment. Remember that, you know what, that you often hear me say that we are at war. There's a war being fought against us right now, and they are using our emotions. And depending on who you are and what you're looking at, you know, they're winning. They're quite successful, but they don't need to be successful with you. They don't need to have your emotion. You know the okey doke. You know the game that's being played. So we can take our energy and center it and keep putting the good out there and making the changes in your area, in your life, because that has a whole rippling effect on the grid. It has a rippling effect on the grid. Just the change in you. And what do I mean by those changes? Withdrawing from this system in many, many different aspects. That's a whole conversation in itself. But you know what? Withdrawing from whether it's the religious structures or whether it's from the governmental structures. And hmm, listen, as I said, take your power back. No, thank you for coming in. So, in having said that, I am going to leave you. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and hit the subscribe button. And if you are just coming across this for the very first time, share this, share it. I want to start having more lives, um, and also getting comfortable going live with myself, and just having chit chat, just having conversations, just like this, and it will grow. It will eventually grow. In the meantime, make whoa, before I leave, actually I am going to be going live with Spirituality and Herb Friday at 5. And that will be I think it's 4 o'clock Sabrina's time, which is in Maryland. And so we will be going live Friday night, and the topic is to be discussed. Don't have that yet, so be looking for that. Um, I am also be going live Friday morning with Ravneet on her channel, Winds of Reflection, and we're going to be tackling a powerful topic there. Um, Basically, you know what, where we'll be talking about our boundaries and the importance of them, and guarding our boundaries when it comes to dealing with one another when we're in different relationships and whatnot, and the importance of that, especially today, so that we can stay on our square. So those are some of the things that I've got going on this week, and I think that there is something else, but anyways, I have forgotten it, and but be looking for that. Um, as I said, Friday at 5, I'm going live with Spirituality and Herb, and then I will also be going live Friday in the morning with uh, Revneet from Winds of Reflection. In the meantime, make a great, what are we, Tuesday evening? Tuesday